to our kids. So, not to say that students still don't do that, but nothing close to where it was last year as far as what I've noticed and what's been brought to my attention.
And if I may add, I just to
Commissioner
that
was waiting.
section, to that
go
point. Yeah, I'm done. I will say that in the classroom, I've actually heard kids talking about that issue, and like you can hear them like saying, oh man, that's terrible that they're doing, that happened to them, or why are people still doing that, or like like they're talking to each other about not vaping and the dangers of it and sharing those stories and things like that. So, Principal Springer is correct. I think social media and just the kids seeing the reports and having their own conversations, it's been very effective just internally with the students.
Fair.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. What are the consequences around vaping if you're on campus and you have the inappropriate oil?
Yeah, so automatic suspension, obviously, and it's very dependent on the vaping and the substance that's being vaped. So if it's THC oil, then it's escalated to an automatic expulsion is processed. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get expelled, but that's the process that needs to follow.
Okay, so you're following pretty much the.
Yeah, we follow School Board of Broward
Okay.
County in that respect, yes.
My question is, typically, at least within the Broward County Public School System, they're usually negotiating in the year that they're currently working. I know that the union and the district is at an impasse. Once that contract is negotiated, do you guys follow suit? I'm just trying to get educated on how that works
No.
as far as like, do your teachers, if it's negotiated at 2%, do you guys give that in this particular year, or how does that roll?
No, unfortunately, we don't. And as a management organization, we follow, a base salary per county, right? Because in some districts, where we operate on the west coast of Florida and things like that, it may be a lower cost of living or whatnot. But we'll operate based off of a base, but then through because we are not a part of all of the other boards that operate some of our other schools, this board in and of itself is independent. We've traditionally had discussions where we do offer those adders or incentives or bonuses, however you want to label them, to ensure that our teachers remain competitive with the School Board of Broward County. I think that's one commitment that I can say, quite honestly, has been since day one that I've been here and for 20 years of this school, from all those that have assisted behind the scenes, is that we've always wanted to attract and retain top talent. So that's, I'm going probably back to Commissioner Simmons' point before he wants to look at it a little more deeper. That is for discussion and why we always bring to the table during budgeting season, which is now. Soon we'll be meeting with some of the staff here and discussing that, because we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to do the best of the best for our teachers within our means.
We're looking for, we're requesting to accept the comparison.
Please, as a report, I don't know if that's needed to, I think that was just
It's
a
almost just an
feedback.
information thing, isn't it?
I think it was just information.
Yeah, I wouldn't, there's no, unless someone has an issue with it, then it just was a point of information.
Right.
Great. Mr. City Manager?
Before we close, I'd like to just get consensus, if it's okay to maybe start this meeting at 8:15 in the future. That way it gives you a little more time to discuss, and we're not running so close up against the commission meeting, if that's okay with everybody. All right, thank you.
Very good.
Can I have, Mr. City Manager, I also too would like to be a part of this discussion moving forward to try to reevaluate how we're managing the salaries moving forward.
Okay.
All right, very good. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, about to come at you hot and heavy. The halls are bursting.
outside in here too? Nice. Oh, really? Cool. Where do you live? Oh, okay. I teach at Pembroke Pines, a area university. I teach all kinds of different classes, but I'm teaching HR strategy starting in March. I teach some public admin classes and quality and performance excellence. Mr. John? No, but I read it. Oh, yes, that was my information for the city. At least he wrote something. He did, right. I'll tell you a nightmare. I'll tell you a nightmare. And I said it was one of the darkest days of my life. And look where I'm at tonight. I love this man. You're 22 years old. Right? What do you talk to Mark about? I see him actually all the time. Not all the time. They plan little things at his house. So they plan little breakfast things. So we all go there and have breakfast with his mom. Very well, the first day is all wellness and stuff. I think we're on fire. I know what things happen today. So I was going to send you some spots. Zen, you know, the yogi person. We're going to I'll get with you, and I still have Monday to cut things out. Monday night I'm going to decorate. We got time. I'm so sorry. It's been chaotic. I have to take Lori to Atlanta on Friday.
Okay, now what?
If I can call this meeting to order, please. Come on down, Commissioner Vignola, please. Allison, how are you this morning? Great. All right, we'll have a call to order, please. Deborah?
Mayor Brook,
Here.
Commissioner
roll call.
Sarah, Commissioner Vignola, Commissioner Simmons,
Present.
Vice Mayor Carter,
Present.
City Manager Babinick,
Here.
City Attorney Hearn.
Here.
Great. If everyone would please rise. Please join us in a moment of silence and whatever's in your heart. Thank you very much. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a few people joining us this morning. We've got Debbie Pringle and Robin McDonald, all-stars, coming here from the fire department with Daisy Diaz, Karen Pietrafesa, Sharon Mirage, Lisa Horeso, and Estelle Tesler. We're ready when you are.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, Justice for all.
Thank you. And I actually have a bunch of T-shirts. So I'm coming down to share them with you.
They don't usually go to employees, but we'll let it slide.
Robin, this one is yours.
Anything you have.
Most of them, their kids have gotten them over the years. Yeah. Oh, who cares? No big deal. Don't worry about it.
Mayor, if I may, as you're walking back up, I'd like to just recognize all the ladies that just came up to do the pledge. They're truly the ones who keep the fire department up and running. We might have chief officers in the organization, but those are the ones that give us the orders. So I just want to thank them for all their hard work.
And on behalf of the commission, we all want to thank you too. And thank you for being here. Thank you for what you guys do every day. We really appreciate it. Our next recognition is the Emmy Award-winning city staff. We're recognizing the creators of the Emmy Award-winning video, Our Story.
Good morning. No, actually, you can have a seat for right now. I'm gonna do this like a real Academy or Emmy Award. Good morning, Commission, and I want to thank you for allowing us to highlight this monumental achievement by the Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department and our city's talented senior videographer. Our Story is an in-depth look inside how the cancer epidemic has affected many members of our fire service, and as you will see in the video, their families. But what Our Story also shows is the determination of our members, command staff, and partnering agencies to prevent and educate others about the cancer epidemic. That determination and creative storytelling earned an Emmy Award for the City of Coral Springs and the City of Parkland. I present to you Our Story.
Headquarters to Engine 109 Alpha. Headquarters calling Engine 109 Alpha. This is the final call for Engine 109 Alpha. Driver Engineer Paul Pietrafesa, ID number 1040.
True heroes are those who are willing to risk their lives for others. But firefighters just see themselves as ordinary people who face extraordinary circumstances. They selflessly display courage and honor and are constantly ready to spring into action the moment they are needed. But for every hero, there is a villain. And in this case, it's cancer.
Paul had abdominal pain one night, and we went to the doctors the next morning because he was jaundice. And at first I thought he had gallbladder, but more tests down the road revealed that he had a tumor in the head of his pancreas. We couldn't believe it was real, and you believe that you can fix it and we can beat it. So at first it was just really hard to wrap your brain around the reality of the truth. Our lives changed dramatically. After Paul was diagnosed, we knew his time was limited, and we wanted to do the most we could with the time we had left. And your whole perspective changes when you've been handed a sentence of a few months. And you find that things aren't as important as you thought they were before somebody's diagnosed. and you live every day like it's your last.
Love is lost sometimes, once in a while, and love is all we have to live for. Standing on the front line, holding back the fear. Listen to the gunfire whisper in my ear. I can see the sunshine in my memory. Caught up in the crossfire, still my heart is louder than bombs.
I was diagnosed in 2014 with fibrosarcoma.
In 2005, March of 2005, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer.
I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2005.
I was diagnosed with prostate cancer early 2015.
I was 48 years old at the time. I have 2 kids. Thoughts of, am I going to see them grow up? Am I going to walk my daughter down the aisle?
It was tough on myself and my family, but we got through it.
What went through your mind when you were given that diagnosis? Immediately, when the doctor says you have cancer.
Sometimes life gets hard, and sometimes we break down, and some days we just want to let go and walk away.
We now know, just by being firefighters, we're more likely to get cancer just by the job that we do.
We started to realize that these weren't isolated incidents, that there was probably a reason behind some of these occurrences of cancer.
Dr. Lee and colleagues conducted epidemiological studies with the state of Florida and found that there was increased risk for firefighters in testicular cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, prostate cancer, and for female firefighters, there's an increased risk in overall cancer and cervical cancer.
Coral Springs has done a number of different things which are kind of leading the edge on what we should be doing, such as gross decon on the scene, the 2 sets of gear, moving the ice machines out of the truck stalls. And the new concept, obviously, is the clean cab.
By removing the equipment from the cab, we are reducing our exposure to carcinogens. Research has shown that SCBAs and equipment can continue to off-gas days later. An added benefit is that we've been able to reduce back, knee, and ankle injuries. These components of the clean cab concept have improved our overall firefighter safety and health without increasing our overall response times.
We know the risk of cancers increase because of our profession. With this information, we have started to redesign our apparatus, our stations, and write new policies and procedures that provide further firefighter safety, health, and well-being. The driver in the video you saw was Paul Pietrafesa. Paul died of pancreatic cancer in 2016. Paul was a true inspiration to this department and has affected the way that we do business today in a positive manner. Paul sat on the committee that helped design the first clean cab truck that the Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department took possession of. It was a 2016 Pierce 100-foot platform. The committee came up with the idea of getting all of the gear, all of the equipment that goes into a hazardous environment out of the cab of the vehicle and into the body of the vehicle so it is away from the firefighters. Other steps that we have taken is we've looked at our station design, removed ice machines from the bays, have storage facilities just for bunker gear. We have issued 2 sets of bunker gear to every firefighter. Implementing a hood and glove swap program that allows for our firefighters to have clean gear to just about every call. We will stay committed to improving the safety, health, and wellness of our firefighters. We will continue to look at the research and the data that's coming out of Sylvester Cancer Center, and we will continue to reevaluate the equipment, procedures, and policies we use on a daily basis to make sure that we are doing the best we can for the men and women that serve the communities they serve.
If I could say anything to other firefighters, cancer doesn't discriminate. It's not a race or a male or a female that's going to get it more. It's going to impact everybody. Don't make the mistake of not enjoying your life and doing what you want to do. To be aware of the possibility that cancer could strike at any time is scary. But don't have regrets that you didn't do what you wanted to do. And make sure that you live and be polystrong.
Change starts with each of us. Today it starts with me, not at my station.
Not in my cab.
Not in my house.
Not in our department.
I would like to invite our commissioners down from the dais and join Mayor Hunchofsky as I introduce to you all of those who were involved in making this Emmy Award-winning video. First, Karen Petrofessa. Certainly our city manager, Frank Babinick. Assistant Fire Chief, Interim Fire Chief John Whalen. Battalion Chief Mike Caldero. Captain Ivo Cisalano, Driver Engineer Rich Piloto, Driver Engineer James Miller, Battalion Chief Chris Bader, and of course Ryan Himmel, the most creative person I have ever had the pleasure of working with, and storyteller. Also joining us is Natasha Schaefer Soleil from the Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. And unfortunately, Keith Tyson, Vice President of the Education, Research, and Outreach Firefighter Cancer Support Network, was unable to join us this morning. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. That was an incredible story. Very heartfelt, very heart-wrenching. And what it reminded me of, and which is so prevalent in the fire department, is that we're family. So I didn't know Paul, but I see the impact that he's had in our community. And I'm proud to know you, Karen, and I'm proud to work with the fire department and with this team. And I just want to say on behalf of our community, our commission, that we are family, we're your family, and we have your backs. And thank you for your representation. And I'd love, Chief, our new city manager, if you'd like to share a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commission, for recognizing this group. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to everybody that had something to do with this and how vulnerable they made themselves in telling their stories. It's not easy. And when you have the personalities that typically firefighters have, asking them to show that side in public is not something that is readily something they would normally do. However, each and every one of them realized the importance of doing so. But I don't think, and I keep telling them this, and I don't think you realize the impact that you've had. And if you talk to Natasha, or you talk to Chris, or you talk to Keith, you guys have made a tremendous impact throughout the fire service, not locally, not throughout the state, but nationally. And it's because of your stories that changes are being made that you should be extremely proud of. And it's legacies that you all have left behind and will continue to leave behind throughout your careers in making that tremendous difference. I know that we have some members of our organization in the audience that had a lot to do with what is going on within the fire service. Retired Assistant Chief Fry, a lot of his committee that designed the clean cab apparatus that is, it's a new trend throughout the country. More and more apparatus are being designed with safety, health, and wellness in mind, and it's because of that innovation that you and your committee members came up with. Our station committee, I see Captain Risanello back there and Chief Lopez and several other that are part of the station committee, and just coming up with ideas. And we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to push the bar and be innovative. Captain Bader, thank you for coming up with this idea. At the time, no. So I stay time oriented. So at the time, Captain Bader came up with the idea. Today, Chief Bader is in charge of safety, health, and wellness for our organization. But at the time, he was a captain on shift and found the time outside of his regular duties to champion this video, and I truly appreciate it. Karen, you know how I feel about you. You're one of the strongest people I know and a true inspiration, and we have a lot to learn from. All of us have a lot to learn from you. And thank you for allowing us to be there for you and Paul and your family when you needed it most. So we truly love you and appreciate you, and Paulie will always live in our hearts and our minds.
Would anybody else like to say a couple words? Mayor Hunchofsky, would you like to?
Going to try not to continue to cry. I just want to commend former Chief Babinec and all members of the Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department. You are always on the cutting edge of things and improvements that need to be done in the fire department, not just locally, as you mentioned, not just statewide, but nationally. In this case, it was for cancer. You've also been with mental health on the forefront, and sharing your stories makes such an incredible impact, not just among the fire department community and the firefighters, but also throughout all the communities. I always say we often forget, because when we look at the firefighters, we think of they're superheroes, and we kind of forget that they're humans and regular people as well. So to be able to show that side of you and to be able to show the strength while dealing with something difficult, you're just amazing role models, and I just want to say thank you very much for all you're doing.
And Mayor, real quick, if I can say one more thing. Captain Cross, where you at? If you can stand up for a minute. Captain Cross is our union president for our firefighters, and we have a very strong partnership. I want to thank you for your partnership and making sure that we're doing this together and in unity, because that's extremely important.
Picture?
These are meant to be held, not just looked at. So
Absolutely.
I'll go ahead and pass these along for whoever is going to hold them, but obviously I want to have them kind of evened out, right? Let's kind of move them.
Yeah, they want it a little bit on both sides.
Yeah.
So you can hold it, we'll pass it around.
How about we integrate each other?
There you go.
Oh, Ryan,
And we'll have a
it is
couple
Ryan's,
pictures.
but he wouldn't even walk around with it. He's okay, trust me.
Here, you hold it, George.
Come close. Come closer, come closer, come closer. Chief Whalen, can I just have you come over here, Barbie? And actually, you as well?
It is.
Okay. Oh, wait, there might be too many. So, I know a lot of people want to take pictures. Everybody look at Garrett first. And then everybody else photograph him.
5 years.
Recognition?
So before we move on to the next recognition, which is awesome, today's a great day in Coral Springs. I'd like to have consent to allow us to recognize the Clean Cab innovators at one of our next meetings. Sound good, guys?
Yes.
All right, there we go. Wonderful. You got that, Deborah? Wonderful. So we have a special swearing-in ceremony of our new fire chief today, Michael McNally. So will the commission join me downstairs again for this special swearing-in? Can we do that? Can we join them downstairs? Shall we sit up here? Sit up here for now. Great.
So Mayor, we're here to swear in our new fire chief. It would be the 12th fire chief in the history of the Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department. Chief McNally comes to us from a long path that started actually with him and I in the same recruit class in 1993. There's 3 of us that are still part of the organization that were in that class, myself, him, and Rob Lubinger. Chief McNally kind of evolved his career. He went to dispatch, and then he went to become a police officer. Clyde, we got him back, though, so, you know. In 2004, when Coral Springs and Parkland merged their fire departments, Chief McNally came back to us on the fire side and worked his way up through the ranks and has been our deputy chief for the last 6 years. Chief McNally currently holds his bachelor's in organizational leadership. He's just a couple classes away from achieving his master's, and he has been accepted into the National Fire Academy's Executive Fire Officer Program, which he'll be starting shortly. He also holds his Fire Officer 4 designation from the state of Florida. There are several members of the organization that are in the room that applied for and went through the process for the fire chief's position. I want to congratulate all of them, and I want to thank them for looking out for our organization and making it a competitive process and truly showing that we had a lot of great options. We had a very well-known fire chief that was part of our process, and his words to us was, Coral Springs is extremely lucky. The Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department is extremely lucky to have the candidates they had going for this position, and we should be very proud of that. So I want to congratulate Chief McNally. I want to congratulate his family on this promotion, and we'll swear him in. You'll repeat after me. I, Mike McNally,
I, Mike McNally,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and protect
I will support and protect
the Constitution and the laws
the Constitution and the laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and all ordinances
and all ordinances
of the city of Coral Springs,
of the city of Coral Springs,
and that in all respects
and that in all respects
I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
all
duties
duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as the fire chief
as the fire chief
and an employee
and an employee
of the city of Coral Springs.
of the city of Coral Springs.
I shall serve in accordance with
I shall serve in accordance with
the city administrative policies
the city administrative policies
and department regulations,
and department regulations,
and with respect
and with respect
to all members
to all members
of the department
of the department
and the community, according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
one. One more. 3, 2, 1. Great, thank you very much.
Mayor, just real quick, we want to get a photo of Mike signing his oath, and then we'll be done.
Absolutely.
And just before Mr. Himmel in the back leaves, we always talk about the talented employees we have here in the city of Coral Springs. Ryan Himmel, that's his 5th Emmy that he's won. And he is, I mean, just unbelievably uber talented, and we're very, very lucky to have him as part of the organization. Congratulations, Ryan.
And on that note, Mr. City Manager, if Ryan can stay for a picture with the City Commission and with you, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely, and, you know, Ryan's got a busy schedule, you know, 5 Emmys under his belt, but I think we can keep him around for a little while.
He can hold up the 3 that we have for the picture. Getting it? Oh, of course, of course.
Do you want us out of the way? Do you want us out of the way? Or
Want us down? Come on, we'll come on down.
Sir, let me just go 1, 2, 3 first. Big smiles, everybody. 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1. Great.
I will get a picture with the commission.
Big smiles. 3, 2, 1. Last one. Good, thank you.
Nope. Wait, we have a request to stay for a second.
One more. Gotta listen. Yeah, We good?
So commission, please stay.
Commission will stay.
Get a picture with Ryan. Are you making me hold mine too?
Almost 6 green.
Yeah, should we have Chris come up or?
Chris. Chris.
Another one? Who's the third? He's coming up over here, so now we're balanced.
Sir, I'll have you stand right between the 2 of them. Right in the middle.
No, I mean, I want Ryan. I want Ryan.
All right. Now, everybody just take 2 steps to your left. Perfect. All right, big smiles. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Great, thank you.
Chair got stuck. stuck. I can't get it out. Arm.
Oh, all right, hold on, I got you.
That destroyed it.
All right, as people are leaving, our next session is public comment. But before then, I also want to thank our interim fire chief, John Whalen, for doing such a good job in between. Thank you very much, John.
Mayor, we try not to tell him that in public because, we want to keep him.
All right, do we have any signed speakers?
Yes, Mayor, we have two signed speakers. The first is Nancy Mateer. The second is Andy Caston.
All right, come on up, Nancy. Good morning.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Now we can.
Good morning, everyone. We have a lot to celebrate today, so wanted to thank you all for all that you're doing in the fire department for what they're doing. I'm actually here today to
May I interrupt you? Your name and address,
Name
please.
and number, yes. My name and address, yes. Nancy Mateer, 9833 Northwest 54th Place, Coral Springs, Florida. Happy Black History Month. Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing the central role of Blacks in the U.S. history, also known as African American History Month, to the event. And the event grew out of Negro History Week, the brainchild noted by historian Carter G. Woodson and other prominent African Americans. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Today, I wanted to take a moment to uplift some of our very own in our community. First and foremost, I want to uplift Commissioner Joshua Simmons. In November 2018, Joshua Simmons made history when he became the first African American to sit as commissioner in Coral Springs. Joshua Simmons is a father and a proud member of Omega Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Adler Volmore is a Haitian American, fourth degree black belt Jokoda, a dual citizen. He competed for Haiti at the 1996 Summer Olympics, for the United States at the 2008 Summer Olympics. Competed for the United States at the 2008 Summer Olympics. He is currently a Coral Springs resident. Salone Stevens is an American professional tennis player. She is ranked the top 25 by the Women's Tennis Association and achieved a career-based ranking of number 3 in the world after the Wimbledon done in 2018. Stevens was the 2017 U.S. Open champion and won 6 WTA single titles in total and is a Coral Springs resident. Darius Jermaine Butler is a former American football free safety. He played college football at Connecticut. Butler was drafted by the New England Patriots in the second round of the 2009 NFL Draft. He also played for the Carolina Panthers and the Colts and is a Coral Springs Charter graduate. Walter Dix is a retired American sprinter who specialized in the 100-meter and 200 meters. He's the 5th fastest 200-meter runner ever in the best of 19 seconds and has broken the 10-second barrier in the 100 meters with the best of 9.88 seconds, and also is from Coral Springs, Florida, and a Coral Springs High School graduate. Lastly, a former classmate, Andrew Batchelor, better known by his online alias persona King Batch, is an actor, comedian, and internet personality known for being the most followed person on the now sharing service Vine, and is a graduate of Coral Springs Charter. So thank you, and I just wanted to take this moment to uplift all of those who contributed to Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, I am very proud to be serving with Commissioner Simmons, and I would love for us to provide him with a plaque for his unique distinction of being the first African American to be elected here in the city of Coral Springs. Looks like I have approval.
As long as he's okay with it.
Are you okay with that? Great. Congratulations, Joshua. And our next speaker is Andy Caston. Is Andy here? Welcome, Andy.
Morning. Andy Caston, 10532 Northwest 56th Drive, Coral Springs. Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, actually didn't know I was going to run into watching that film, and it really broke me up. One of my good friends, Mike Caldero, was featured in that film, so it was a little tough to watch, but thank God, and God bless what the fire department's doing. Actually, I'm here today to talk to you about consent item 10. And I believe you may be pulling that, but as somebody who has been playing ice hockey at the Panthers rink for 17 years, I have a unique insight as to the rink itself, been through so many different ownerships, and finally having a really amazing owner that's dedicated not only to making it a great team, but also to doing some repairs there, which I know are going to be done. But what I was hoping is that perhaps you're pulling it to discuss it and to at least let the people of Coral Springs know what improvements would be going on there and what kind of things will be changing, because it has gone into disrepair in some ways, and I know that the new owners are dedicated to making that a better place. But as somebody who has spent tens of thousands of dollars through the years and knows so many people, including Mike Caldero, who was featured in that film, who's actually, I played with him for many years. He's a goalie at the rink, as well as a lot of our fire and police departments. So I'm hoping that maybe you can enlighten us, the citizens, as to what's going on there, if at all possible. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you very much, Andy.
And
There
Mayor,
are no other signed speakers? Oh, go ahead.
Mayor, just for clarification, we will be pulling items 10 and 11 to discuss a little bit.
Great. Sounds good. Anyone else from the public that would like to be heard? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed. We're on to public hearing number 1, ordinance 2020-100.
Ordinance 2020-100 is an ordinance of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, amending the Land Development Code of the City of Coral Springs by amending Chapter 25, Article 16, entitled Communications Facilities, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date. To request a whole public hearing, approve first reading, set second reading for February 19th, 2020. Up for a brief.
Morning, Julie.
Morning, everyone. This is just to update our ordinance based on recent changes at the state level, so it's updating bond requirements, timeframes, things like that.
We open to the public first, yeah.
Public hearing.
The public hearing? I have food in my mouth. I'm sorry. Anyone from the public? Oh, gosh. I was ready for a presentation. This is embarrassing. Luam, you got to warn me about these things. All right. No one from the public wishes to be heard? I'll take the motion.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Carries unanimously. Next is Resolution 2020-003.
It's a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, approving the petition of Paul E. Brewer and Associates, Inc., on behalf of Pan American Sites, Inc., for the abandonment of a 12-foot utility easement that conflicts with the proposed site improvements within a portion of lots 12 and 13, Block A, Greater Coral Springs Research and Development Park Addition. According to the plat thereof, is recorded in Plat Book 66 at page 50 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida. Providing for recording, conflict, severability, and effective date. Request a whole public hearing, approve it first reading, and have a second reading on February 19, 2020, Mayor.
I have stopped eating. Good morning.
For the approval of petition AE 19-05, submitted by Paul Brewer on behalf of Pan American Sites, requesting the abandonment of a 12-foot utility easement on the property located at 12339 West Sample Road. And the property is actually located on the northeast corner of Sample Road and northwest 35th Street in the corporate park area. The easement extends from Sample Road to northwest 35th Street and is in conflict with the proposed site improvements. The applicant will be constructing a gas station, a 7-Eleven, and a multi-tenant business center, which includes the Flora Fine Food Distribution Center in that area. So staff received all the letter of no objection for the different utilities in the area, and we have no objection then for the abandonment. Staff recommends that Commission approve this petition AE 19-5 and approve and adopt Resolution 2020-3. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any questions? It's a public hearing. Would anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. May I entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Vice Mayor Carter. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Carries unanimously. We're on to consent. You're pulling 10 and 11?
Yes, sir.
Great. Any other pulls? Somebody move the balance.
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Vignola.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Carter. Any discussion? Just want to say Our Town is coming up March 13th to the 15th, and we're approving that in item number 8. All in favor of consent, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, carries unanimously. We're on to number 10. Frank, do you wish to speak on this or have
Yes, sir.
staff?
Yes. Mayor, first off, Matt and Keith, if you guys want to come up to the podium here, and anybody else you'd like to bring with you, we have some folks here from the Panthers organization. First and foremost, I'd like to thank them for their partnership in working through this agreement. City manager office, the city manager's office, city attorney's office, John Hearn's staff worked very well with the Panthers organization to come to an agreement that we are very happy with. Some of the highlights of the agreement is we changed the payment structure on. It's more of a cost sharing that's fair for both organizations. It starts at $1. We're putting money aside from $1 for capital improvements and depreciation type items. The Panthers organization's putting in a little over $4 million in renovations into the facility in 2 separate phases. Due to that, we've agreed to extend the contract by 25 years, so this contract will go to 2069. So this signifies a long-standing relationship with the City of Coral Springs and the Florida Panthers organization. The Panthers are moving to Fort Lauderdale for their practice facilities. So there's going to be programming that is going to happen at this facility that involves youth leagues and minor hockey leagues and those types of things where, Keith, you can maybe talk a little bit more about that and what the plan is for there and bringing more of those types of sporting events to the City of Coral Springs. We'll be sharing a marquee sign out front that in partnership with our communication and marketing department, we'll be able to share some advertising back and forth between the Panthers and the City of Coral Springs on events that are coming up. It will not be used for commercial advertising. It'll be used strictly for events between the city, not between, but with the city or with the Panthers. The other thing that we did that we're very happy about and shows a partnership is the first $80,000 that comes in is going to be in kind services, meaning we'll be able to use either the BB&T Center or the Ice Den for different types of promotional stuff. For example, we could do an open skate type day for the residents of Coral Springs that's sponsored by Parks and Rec. We can do, with Chief Perry's folks, with their school resource officers, we can reach out to some folks that normally wouldn't be able to go see a hockey game and sponsor a night where they go down and get to enjoy a hockey game. Those types of things, along with some advertisements. And then the other part of it is there's some space that the Panthers are currently using that will work closely with the Panthers organization to reprogram some of that space. So, City Attorney Hearn, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add to that, but I do want to thank you and your staff for all of your hard work in getting us to the finish line.
Thank you. I would tell you that it is just over $4 million. I know that was asked at the public comment, and it's everything from replacing floorings to chillers to upgrading the bar to everything. It's really, our conversation started up on the rougher side about 10 months ago, where I sent them a letter just asking how they're doing, and the partnership really evolved, and with the city manager's office and everyone on their side, really, I think we have a nice agreement that is really going to be a great facility, continue to be a great facility for the community.
Awesome. Matt, Keith, would you like to say anything? And welcome to our city commission meeting. Good to see you both.
Thank you for having us. I'll first start off by saying, I met Christy Bartlett about a year ago, and we talked about trying to bring more community events to Coral Springs, and that kind of kicked off our endeavor of how do we do that. And I've tasked our hockey department, our figure department, on growing more tournaments and events to bring to Coral Springs. And these renovations will allow us to do that, to bid on big regional, national type level of events to come to Coral Springs and highlight what we can offer. So, you know, just in a nutshell, that's what these improvements will allow us to do, to just bring more competitive, more regional, more national type of events that we can showcase here.
Just wanted to echo John's comments that working with your staff has been tremendous, and you know, we've had a lot of experience with Broward County with the big arena BB&T Center, and we were happy to further the partnership with Coral Springs. So the more that we can grow youth hockey and make the Ice Den here the hub for Tier 1 hockey, I think the better for everyone. So, great.
And Mayor, I'd also like to just congratulate Matt and the Panthers organization on having the All-Star game next year. That's a big deal, and that will also, we'll be partners in whatever we can do to help them facilitate some of the overflow events and stuff that they have going on.
Great. I'll give you the opportunity. I know something's coming up on February 15th. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
This is a new initiative for us. You know, we're all about the community. If you watch all of our actions throughout Broward County and beyond, on February 15th, it's a Saturday night game, we're going to be highlighting the city of Coral Springs at our hockey game. So it's called our Territory Takeover Night. We've done it for the city of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Parkland. Parkland and Coral Springs will be together. We're doing Palm Beach, Pembroke Pines. There's 10 different communities. So please come on out on February 15th.
Thank you so much. May I hear a motion? By Commissioner Vignola, second by Commissioner Sarah. Any discussion?
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Perhaps with the new partnerships and the new programs that are coming to the city, maybe we can look into grants or like that might enhance it.
Great idea. So what's occurred between the Panthers and our organization is a good example of what happens when you keep the conversation going and don't stay stuck on the differences. So you worked out some resolutions that came out to this agreement, and it looks like it's going to be unanimous. So congratulations to the Panthers. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the
10B.
motion, please say aye.
Oh.
Aye.
513.
Any opposed?
Aye, sorry.
That's not an opposition.
That's not.
Okay. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next is number 11.
So, Mayor, we just wanted to highlight number 11. This is another great partnership. We went through an RFP process to pick somebody that's going to operate our employee clinic for us, and you guys approved that contract last meeting. This is for the physical space where the clinic will be held. Broward Health Coral Springs is a great partner with the city of Coral Springs, so Dale Pazdra and his staff, along with the city attorney's office, worked to get an agreement together that will allow us to really, I call this a very important asset to the members of our organization, and it's going to hopefully it will provide a higher level of care to them in a more convenient and timely setting. So Dale, if you want to highlight anything on that.
Yeah, sure. I just thank you for being here today, and also I'm very excited to be at this point. The vision to have an employee clinic started several years ago between myself and the city manager, and it's kind of exciting to be at this perspective we're at now. You approved at the last meeting the CareHare agreement. That CareHare organization will be the ones managing professionally our clinic, but of course they have to have a place to serve the employees as well as our local retirees. So through a lot of effort on behalf of John Hearn and Nick Noto from the city attorney's office, Louis Gorgay from purchasing, we're pleased to present you with a lease that will get us at least going in the right direction. This is an awesome partnership, as Frank had mentioned, for the city to actually be on the Broward Health campus. There are a lot of other amenities that we'll be having access to there because we're located there. Our health coach, who is now full-time, who's a Cigna employee, will be co-located with the clinic. She'll be able to do stop-by booths, offer coaching sessions as such in that environment. And they have facilities on the first floor that are excellent for us to host wellness activities there. And it's going to be a great opportunity for us. The lease in front of you is a lease that we can continue to have with them. We worked very closely with Broward Health to make it happen. We had budgeted $40,000 and it came in beneath that. So any questions, I'm here to answer.
Questions? Okay, may I hear a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Just great work, Dale. Really appreciate this. It's going to be great for our employees and a great way to attract new ones as well.
And great for our health fund. I just,
Saving some money, that's awesome.
That's going to be great in the end. I look forward to coming back with reports in the future on that. Thank you for your
Awesome.
support.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, carries 4-0. Policy formation and direction is next, number 12.
Mayor, this is the second reading of the temporary sign pilot program. Julie's available to answer any questions. We talked about this at the workshop.
Any questions?
I'll just
Julie?
read the order.
Yes, go right ahead, John.
It's an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, amending Section 1806 of the Land Development Code entitled Temporary Signs. Requirements according to the zoning districts in order to extend the temporary rights-of-way signs pilot program, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date. As the city manager said, already had first reading and public hearings, just a request to adopt the extension time.
Request to adopt, is there a motion? By Commissioner Simmons?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sarah. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, carries 3-1. Next is the rehabilitation of the lift stations, 14A, 15C, 17B, 19C, and 20C.
Mayor, this is part of the regular, our budget process. These are budgeted for. Juan Robbie will come up. We have approximately 26 lift stations throughout the city. We have a plan that rehabs them on a regular basis to ensure that they're in proper operating state. So,
Total of 53 stations right
53?
now.
Okay.
We have rehabilitated 26 so far.
Hello, welcome.
This program is recommended in the water and wastewater master plan.
Any questions? To approve by Commissioner Simmons,
Second?
second by Vice Mayor Carter. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, carries 4-0. Thank you very much. Next is number 14, roadway resurfacing and striping. Rich Michaud, good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. This is a request to award the contract for road resurfacing to M&M Asphalt Maintenance, otherwise known as Al County Paving, of Delray Beach, in an amount of $816,375.25. The Public Works CIP/Transportation Capital Program allocates funding annually for road resurfacing. The best practice for resurfacing roads is really every 20 to 25 years. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to keep up with that. The bond issue of March of 18 passed, which, by the way, failed by about 170 votes, just by the way. We would be able to have done this work already to date. So we're about 70 miles short of that 20-year standard of resurfacing roads according to best practices. But this is a step in the right direction. We are going to take care of the North Spring subdivision and some other areas in Pine Ridge on 88th Lane and 89th Terrace to upgrade that asphalt in those neighborhoods. So staff recommends approval of the contract to Al County Paving.
Are there any questions of Rich?
I do. I have
Go
a
ahead,
question.
Joey.
So with our infrastructure being aged, and I realize this is resurfacing, is there any way to know that, like Fort Lauderdale's having all these problems, any way for us to know before we put a nice new layer of asphalt on there that that area is not going to be a future problem?
Well, clearly, it starts with maintaining the water and sewer lines, which are underground, right? So we have a proactive program to replace cast iron pipe, the water mains. As you saw out in Sample Road a few years ago, we replaced those cast iron pipes, the water mains. And of course, the I&I program, which you'll be hearing a workshop item on, I believe it's this month, lines the sewer pipes to make sure that we put a liner inside the pipes to prevent any cracking in sewer line breaks. So that's our proactive replacement to try to stay ahead of that. So we don't have a situation where we resurface the road and all of a sudden we have a
Right.
pipe break, have to tear everything up again.
Right, that's what I was trying to avoid. Okay, thank you.
How many bidders did we attract for this?
I don't have that.
Louis, do you have that?
I can get that information.
Okay.
I'd
Mayor,
say at least a half a dozen or so bidders.
It's quite a bit, but I don't have the exact number.
Pretty competitive.
And you're recommending approval of the lowest bid? Any further questions of staff?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead.
Rich, when do you anticipate this work starting?
It probably takes about a month by the time the bonds and insurance are received, notice to proceed. pre-construction meeting. It's probably by around April 1st for a 120-day period as the work would take.
Do we have any way of, like, from a public relations standpoint, do we notify the community that this is impacting ahead of time, or do we just start commencing
We
work?
put on a message board in front of the neighborhood, at the
All right,
neighborhood
great.
entrance, and also it'll be on our website. And of course, marketing does a great job helping us with all that stuff.
Great, okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, Sean, you want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Simmons. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. All right, we are on to Commissioner Communications. Who would like to go first?
I will.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind everybody that in February, we have the sacred tour with the Tibetan monks, and if you've never seen a mandala built, it is an incredible process, and I highly recommend you get to the Coral Springs Museum somewhere between Monday, the 11th, and the 16th. I also want to remind my fellow senior citizens that there is an AARP Smart Driving class on the 15th. Now, I'm one of those people, like you, that thought, I don't need that. I took it anyway and was actually shocked that I learned things about driving after 50 years that I didn't know. So I highly recommend that course. You can register on our website. And lastly, let's keep Coral Springs beautiful. I'm a street captain for Adopt a Street. We are having our next cleanup on February the 29th. You can sign up at coralsprings.org/volunteer, and we'll keep our city looking nice. When I started this program many, many years ago, my first pickup was 75 pounds of trash. Now we average about 22 to 25. So it's definitely working. So we definitely appreciate your support. If anyone would like to speak with me or has a question or concern, you can reach me at joycarter@coralsprings.org or 954-998-4186. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. How about you, Commissioner Sarah?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, I wanted to start and congratulate all those that were involved in the Martin Luther King celebration back in mid-January. I'm very proud of the committee and the work they did, and I want to congratulate my colleague, Commissioner Simmons, on his recognition. As we move into Black History Month, it's our opportunity to celebrate not only the past, but the present, and be proud of the future. So we're going to be working hard to do some great things this month and continue that historical precedence that we're setting. For the residents, not necessarily in the loop all the time, but we try to put public notices out there, especially when we're doing retreats. And I'm very proud of this commission. We had a successful retreat about a week and a half ago, and a lot of passion in the room, and all of our hearts in the right place. And you guys are very talented individuals. I'm being very proud to be a part of this team and excited about our future. The big thing is we can agree to disagree at times, but more importantly, we always put the city first. And you guys do a great job representing our residents and your constituents.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
This past week, I want to congratulate all the students that participated in the County Arts AP exhibit at the museum, and then also all of our band students that performed. It was a great night, and I want to thank all the organizers and everyone that was a part of really taking what's important and recognizing that it's more than just performing in the classroom. It's celebrating the talents that a lot of kids are passionate about, and the opportunity to really encourage them to pursue their dream. And it was really cool to walk around that night and talk and engage with a lot of people that are not only involved in organizing it, but also the students that were a big part of why we were there. I also want to take this opportunity to, this past Monday, we have a lot of residents that are students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And as we embark on reflecting on February 14th a couple of years ago, we did have an opportunity to really have a bright night, and I'm bright in the sense that Anthony Rizzo, a proud alum from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, was on property this past Monday. along with Musco Sports Lighting. And I have to give a shout out to both of them because Coral Springs and Parkland residents that now attend that school can play evening contests and games in baseball and softball because of the partnership, the collaboration, and really dedication of those organizations, along with a lot of residents that contributed financially. So this past Monday was one of those moments where you think back a couple of years ago and you regret what really happened, but then you see a lot of people in the community stepping up to make it a brighter day for the students at that school and moving forward for the generation that's coming. The last thing I wanted to do is recognize a former resident of ours, Steve Hutchinson. We just had the Super Bowl. The Chiefs obviously won. I'm not going to deny I was rooting for the 49ers, but Andy Reid, I'm happy for Andy and all the players. But Steve Hutchinson, a proud alum of Coral Springs High School, was nominated and selected to be inducted into the National Football Hall of Fame. And if you think about that, that's not only a tremendous accomplishment for his hard work and commitment as a student athlete, but it's really a crowning moment for our city and the city of Coral Springs, obviously, and then Coral Springs High School itself. So I want to congratulate him and his family for that. The last couple things I wanted to say is about the Florida Panthers. You guys are amazing. I see this firsthand. A lot of the things that you guys are doing for the community, especially the last 3 years that I've been in the position as Director of Athletics, you guys should be very proud as an organization. I work with all 4 professional teams. You guys are first class from start to finish. Very excited about the agreement that we made. You know, there was some concern, you know, at times, but you guys really stepped up, and it's going to be a great thing not only for your organization, but for us as a city. And what's really cool, and a lot of people don't know, is that we're going to be the first county in the history of the United States that's going to have middle school floorball. And you guys, Matt and John Colombo and the rest of your team, for launching that. It's pretty cool that Forest Glen, Sawgrass Springs Middle will be part of that, and giving our kids an opportunity and expose them not only to floorball, but hopefully potentially be NHL hockey players at some point. So thank you for that. And then Chief McNally, congratulations. We're super excited to have you as our next chief. 1993 to the present, you should be very proud of your career. And you know, it came a little unexpected, this vacancy, but former Chief Aveneck's doing a great job, and I know you will continue the tradition. And I was just talking to an esteemed member of our city staff, and we were commenting on that. I can't think of a fire or police department in the country that's better than ours, and I didn't really understand it until I got onto the commission. I mean, I saw you guys in action as a school administrator, but to see you guys in action and what you do and how you handle it, the professionalism, the amount of pride that you take in your work, the commitment, the family atmosphere, and the culture you guys have created really is a model not only for the county, but the state and our country. So I'm looking forward to you accomplishing even more than Chief Aveneck as their leader, and blazing a trail and continue the reputation within your department. And happy birthday to Larry Vignola.
Yes, I forgot that.
Enjoying his birthday.
I guess he's celebrating already. And for the residents, if you're interested in reaching out to me, I don't have like designated office hours, but I'm willing to meet with you early in the morning or after hours. My cell phone number is 954-612-7114. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, before we go on, can I just ask, can we get direction to recognize NFL player Steve Hutchinson in a formal manner?
I would love that formally. And does that sound good to you all?
Yeah, and
Really
staff is actually recommending, if he's accepting to it, to offer him a key to the city as well.
That's okay by me?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
The criteria.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. Along those lines, I'd like us to recognize Anthony Rizzo for his accomplishments.
Parkland.
No?
We
I wouldn't think
probably will get back to you, because we did have recognized him once, just to make sure that you see
Okay.
what we've done before. I'm almost positive we've recognized him.
Well, you can let me know what we've done
Yeah.
before for Anthony. Sounds good. All right, anything further, Commissioner Sarah?
No, thank you,
Great.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Frank. Right to you, Commissioner Simmons.
All right, so February is a super packed month for it to be one of the shortest of the year, or shortest months of the year. Mr. City Manager, I was wondering, and I don't mean to put anyone on the spot, but could we have someone come up and just talk briefly about the Peace and Love exhibit?
Sure. Susie?
Beat me to the punch.
Good morning. We have, most of you have probably already seen, if you come off the Sawgrass Expressway going eastbound, it is up already, and we are going to be having the formal dedication at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon, February 14th, in commemoration of the second anniversary. We also that day have the Carl Joost photojournalism exhibit going on in Parkland at around 5 o'clock. They're not doing an actual dedication, but it will be up and working the whole day on that day. The artists will be here being interviewed and stuff starting from noon on. So there's a lot of things going on that day, but that exhibit is going to be formally dedicated to Peace and Love by R&R Studios at 3 o'clock on Friday.
And along those lines, what are we doing to promote this? And I don't know if you would speak on it or if somebody else would, Frank.
Lynn Martzell and Communications are doing a great job with getting the word out there. We've had invitations go out to all the committees and board members, everybody that you can imagine. We've sent things out. If you have some groups that you want us to send it to let them know, we certainly could add more. But
I appreciate that. So I certainly want all of our committees to be invited.
yes, oh, they
for
definitely
that.
have been, and it's on
And-
social media, Facebook.
And previously, I had asked that we engage our former elected officials.
Yes, we're
like
doing that
Mayor
as well. The same
Gold,
people
Mayor
that were invited
Bogard.
to the temple
Great.
are the same people we put with this one.
Awesome. Wonderful. So if you can let us know who'll be there in advance, I certainly want them to be recognized.
I don't know if we didn't do an RSVP, right? We just invited them.
I can double check, but we can follow up with that.
Or have at least a sign-in at the time, because I think it's always important to recognize the dignitaries,
Sure.
their past service or current service. Great, wonderful. And thank you for all your work with the Power of Art program, Susie. Great. Commissioner Simmons.
All right. Always want to start by saying thank you to the staff. We ask a lot of you, and you are always gracious in working with us and talking through us with our different ideas and kind of sitting down with us and seeing if you can make our visions a reality. And so very appreciative of you all. So I just want to always give you love. Definitely happy birthday to our now ghosted commissioner, Larry Vignola. Great guy. Sorry that his arm is all messed up, because on one of our heaviest picture days so far this short year, he's in his chillin' attire because he can't wear a suit. Congrats to Fire Chief Mike McNally. I joked and said I had the best lunch date ever with him when I went on my fire department ride-along. You know, when I sit down with people on one-on-ones, I get to know their heart. I get to know their character. I try to move past the superficial and just get to understand the people. And having someone like him assume the duties of the fire chief of our world-renowned, world-class fire department is an honor, and it's something to continue to add to the pride that I have representing Coral Springs. I like to travel a lot, and I'm usually the loudest person in the room, and letting everybody know where I am from. And it's because of people like you, Mike, and City Manager Babinek, and our staff. We have such a great city, and you all help make our jobs easy as well. So congratulations to you, sir. I speak briefly. I just wanted to speak briefly to our story. You know, it is tough, and as Mayor Hunchofsky from Parkland alluded to, is, you know, I'm sure I'm not alone in growing up and seeing firefighters as superheroes, right? You know, the dramatic running into the burning buildings and, you know, different things like that. We know you do more than just fight fires, but, you know, you all are superheroes. You're our modern day, realistic, real life heroes, and to allow yourselves to be so vulnerable and to show that there are some weaknesses, but also to show that you are taking very proactive steps to save lives and to keep families together and to prevent and reduce more instances of cancer within your department. But not only that, you're doing this for anyone else that shares in the profession throughout the world. There would not ever be enough words to commend what you all have done as far as recognizing this very severe problem. I don't think it's definitely not something talked about enough as far as the dangers that our firefighters deal with, other than people just thinking, running into fires, and that's it. That's not the end of the story, I just think it's amazing that we have that out there, so that can be almost like a video for the future. When none of us are no longer here, that video will still exist and persist and will be used to save more lives. So congratulations again to the fire department and all involved in winning that Emmy. The next thing I want to move to, just follow me because it's a longer conversation, not one I'm going to have here all the way, but the deaths of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna and everybody on board of that helicopter. While I never had the opportunity of meeting Kobe Bryant, I'm sure plenty of us rooted for or against him, throughout his 20 years as a member of the Lakers. But his death shocked a lot of us, and in particular black men, which is something that, as I thought about it and sat back, it was like we lost somebody that was a part of our culture. It was a part of our identity, what he represented, whether you liked him or you didn't. Kobe Bryant was there, especially for a lot of in my generation. Growing up, he was the number one basketball player in the world. The larger conversation that has to be had, and what a lot of people may not understand or it's not used to seeing, is how black men mourn. Too often times we don't have space to mourn. We don't have time to mourn. We don't have room to mourn. Oftentimes we deal with a lot of pressures that we don't necessarily know how to identify or understand or give names to. And what was exposed with this terrible tragedy was how black men mourn, and that we often have to mourn in silence, in dark rooms, by ourselves, or with just one person. And I think that's just a larger conversation that we have to have, and trying to help black men just really embrace therapy, embrace being able to talk through their emotions, being able to identify their emotions. I know personally I struggle with that myself, and I don't mind saying that. I struggle with naming my emotions and understanding my frustrations and how to find an outlet for them, because sometimes it just festers and builds. And so that's something that I'm going to keep my eye on and see what I can do just in my own personal faculty and helping move that forward. It is Black History Month, and Black History Month is American history. It is U.S. history. I know some people try to confine it just to the month, but it is something that is 365. And it's not to try to say that anyone is better than anyone, but when you've had a group of people in this country, much of history being told that they are less than, or they don't amount to something else, or they're not seen as equals, where laws and policies were put into place to let them know that they are not equal or not seen or the other or something to be feared or demonized. It's a great opportunity to just put a mirror up and show that, hey, this is American history. It may not be the history that we all wanted to look like from the very beginning, but it is our history, and to just show and celebrate those achievements of men and women who have given their lives to make this country look what it looks like today. I think it's always important to keep that in the back of our minds, and it's not to separate. It's just to show that this group, that African Americans, are integral to the story and the future of America. To the Panthers organization, just to kind of back up Commissioner Sarah's comments, we really are appreciative that you all came to the table with us to work out something that will be beneficial to both of us. Coral Springs is everything under the sun, and having a great relationship with you all, with the Panthers organization, it's great to have. I already coined a name for the minor league team, so you can get with the city manager. We can talk about that off dais. No, but we're really happy. I was very impressed with what we were able to work out together And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for letting me have my long moment. Sorry.
I think it's beautiful, Joshua. I really do. And it's going to lead me to share a little bit openly and with some vulnerability along similar lines. But before I do that, I'd like the Panthers to consider, if we can work it out, being the sponsor of the Performing Arts Center. So that's something we're going to workshop, but you guys might be the great sponsor and could be beneficial to all of us. So there's been some confusion at times about some things I do as mayor and some things I do not as mayor. So I want to be clear about one item in particular, and I've decided to share openly again about this, maybe a little bit more openly, why I started the Mental Wellness Networking Alliance. And I haven't done it as the mayor. I've done it as Marsha Brooks' son. I've done it at AJ's dad. I've done it as a friend of Brenton Wright. Sometime late March, I got a text Saturday night, late March of last year, I got a text Saturday night about another suicide, black man, Calvin Desir. Had trouble mourning, I believe, from February 14 of the year before. That was the second young person that we lost to suicide that week as a result of our tragedy on February 14th. And as many of you know, because I've shared openly before, I lost my mom to suicide. I was 23. My mom jumped out of a building. Not well. I had no idea. She suffered in silence. When Commissioner Simmons and I went to the vigil to honor the memory of Calvin, it was the first time I got to meet his dad. Saw Brenton up on the stage, and this is how he described his relationship with his son. Like this. We're like this. So I share openly about this, and I'm inviting you to join me in our community, various leaders, various therapists, various parents, including Calvin's dad. We meet the first Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. at Keller Williams at 3301 North University Drive. We're meeting tonight. I won't be there on time because I'm coaching my grandson in soccer, and I've missed a couple of practices and a couple of games recently because of travel. So I'll be there for the first 45 minutes. But the Mental Wellness Networking Alliance, we're committed to two primary objectives. One is to eliminate the stigma that's often associated with the need for mental help. We want everyone to be able to feel comfortable saying, I need help, or my son needs help. Years ago, I had been very embarrassed and afraid to ask for help from my son. Matt was an alcoholic. And one day at an innovation table, also something I do outside of being mayor, a young woman named Lorraine Campbell, she suggested we eliminate the word embarrassment. That night, I began opening up about the help that our family needed as well as my son. And that following morning, we had our first intervention. That was many years ago. My son, thankfully, is in recovery. I think we need to be open and open the dialogue because it's not just physical health that we're all concerned with. All want to have mental wellness. But too many of us feel a little bit ashamed or a lot of bit ashamed to say we need help. Thank God 3 years ago after I lost my dad, I got help. I got help from friends. My wife was a rock, had an amazing therapist. And here I am, several years later, I get to work with this amazing team. I get to work with staff and department heads that make my job easy. It's amazing to have you be a teammate of yours, Susie. So I open up, and this meeting has evolved just so, for a lot of different reasons, to lead me to share this openly and not feel as though I'm being judged in a negative way, which is, not necessarily easy for all of us to feel.
And another reason I'm sharing openly is because a couple of years ago, we lost a first responder who suffered in silence. So we're all in this together. It's all us, whether we admit it or not. And the categories of people that feel ashamed or hide from their depression or, mental suffering, it includes veterans, black men, it includes farmers, it impacts everyone. And just as cancer doesn't discriminate, mental illness doesn't discriminate. So why do I share all this? Not just to be heard, but to invite you to have open conversations and to invite you to listen to people when they're sharing, as even Joshua shared openly, as I'm sharing openly. To invite that person to share openly with you and give them a hug. Say that therapy is a good thing. Don't be judgmental. We all need each other. So I'll move off of that for the time being, and I really appreciate everybody listening to me. So the Panthers do something really special that I love, and I would love for us to do it once a month. I'd love for us to honor a veteran. Let me share with you a little bit why I want to honor a veteran. So when the Panthers honor these veterans at the games, it's not just making the veteran feel special. It's a way for the community to come together and to give gratitude for somebody that has defended us and protected us and allows us the freedom that we have. And we have veterans that live in our community, and if we can have a program to honor one veteran a month, or to even just look at what that might be, I would appreciate your support for that.
We can move it to the next workshop and talk about
Put
it
it on the
at the end of
workshop.
the month.
Sounds good. That'd be great. Nancy Mateer mentioned 3 individuals at least that I caught names of. I knew 2 names, Walter Dix and Darius Butler of Coral Springs, and they've had great success in athletics. Nancy also mentioned King Bach, is it? Batch. I would love to recognize them. That be okay with you all? Yes? Okay, great. Wonderful. What else do I have? Just got a couple more. So last night we had an amazing event at the Museum of Art. And just by a show of hands, how many of you have never been to our museum? Looks like everybody's been to our museum. That's awesome. So our museum's a gem in our community, kind of undervalued, maybe a little bit underappreciated. But what was shared last night by Carl Joost, an amazing photojournalist who has come to our community and helped us kind of round out the Power of Art program. He talked about unity, he talked about harmony, and he talked about being able to go from the pain of our experience to the resilience of our community. And so I invite everybody to come out February 14th, I believe it's at 5 or 5:30, to the amphitheater in Parkland, Parkland Trails Park, and see the unveiling of the exhibit called Resilience. And from what he shared with us, we'll be able to see amazing depictions by this photojournalist and other followers that he had from part of the Power of Art program that will really be impactful to our community. So I hope many of you will be there on February 14th at 5:30 after we do the Peace and Love dedication. In regards to my office hours, I have several. They're posted on the website. You can also reach me by cell phone at 954-696-7599. Luam has reminded me I keep giving out the wrong number for the commission phone. So the right number is 954-344-5911. And what's usually best is if you have an issue, to email me at sbrook@coralsprings.org. If I am behind in getting to you, and you're like, what's happening with the mayor? Call me on my personal cell phone, which is 954-494-9872. I was dilatory in getting back with one of the residents before a hearing they have tomorrow, and I'm glad John is going to be able to reach out to them, and I apologize to that resident. And to any one of you that I'm dilatory with in getting back with you, I apologize. I get about 250 emails a day, so a little bit overwhelming. But if you're really having an issue, you can let me know by calling either cell phone. And on that note, I also just want to acknowledge you, Sean, for being such a great team member and for giving us similar acknowledgement. It's a pleasure to work with you. It's a pleasure to work with everybody. Happy birthday, Larry. Hope you're having a good time. And we're on to City Manager Communications.
I just have a couple things. First of all, as the Bloomberg grant comes to a close, I just want to recognize Susie for all of her hard work that she put into that and managing that project. Well, 5 projects. She had, obviously she had a lot of support from staff, and she'll tell you that. But she was the one that was responsible for it. So I just like to publicly thank her for all of her hard work and taking care of that. Also like to recognize Alex Hernandez. We had several businesses that are wanting to get open within the city and ran into just some issues, and Alex was extremely responsive, went out himself with his team members to ensure that those businesses could move forward with their plans in a safe and legal manner. So Alex, I appreciate you doing that and taking the time to be part of the solution. And lastly, Chief Perry stepped out, but Deputy Chief McKean's here. I want to congratulate you guys. You had a high-profile case yesterday that you guys handled just in a very timely and professional manner, and thank you for keeping our community safe. We appreciate it.
Right. I do have one question, Frank, and when will the museum first report to us in a similar fashion, potentially, to how the charter school?
So our first meeting will be in March.
March,
Yes.
okay, great, sounds good. All right, City Attorney.
We'll probably also have a museum meeting in March as well. Hopefully, we'll have a positive update on discussions we have with the vendor there. Other than that, I have nothing for the report. I do congratulate Mike McNally. Look forward to working with you, and I'm enjoying working with Frank, who's doing a wonderful job, as the staff is too.
Yeah, on that note, Frank, I really think the transition to you has been seamless, so I know I've shared that with you personally. Happy to share it publicly.
Thank you.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here.